I never thought the night before my wedding would feel like this. Holly looked me straight in the eye, her face pale, her voice shaking, and said the words that shattered me. Ella, I kissed James at the bachelor party. My heart pounded so hard, it drowned out every sound in the room. England's gray rain tapped on the window like a cruel drumbeat. Tomorrow was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but now I wasn't even sure I could walk down that aisle. I couldn't breathe. The words circled my head like a curse. She kissed him. My fiancé, the man I thought was mine. I wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead, I just stared at her. Holly's eyes brimmed with tears, but part of me wondered if she was crying because she regretted it or because she got caught. The silence stretched long, broken only by the patter of the English rain. "Why?" I whispered, my voice sharp like broken glass. Holly wrung her hands and said it happened at the party. Too much alcohol, too much laughter, and one moment of weakness. My stomach twisted. I pictured James's lips on hers, and bile rose in my throat. She swore it meant nothing. But if it meant nothing, why tell me now, less than 24 hours before my wedding? I asked if James kissed her back, and Holly hesitated just long enough to break me all over again. She said yes. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. I felt my world tilt sideways, and I grabbed the edge of the bed to steady myself. The ring on my finger felt like a shackle now, heavy and wrong. I stormed out of the room, leaving Holly crying on my bed. My parents were downstairs in the old English house, sipping tea, laughing softly, planning last-minute details for the wedding. I froze at the top of the staircase, wondering if I should tell them, but my throat closed. How could I destroy everything they were excited for in one sentence? I walked into the rainy street, the cold air slapping me awake. My phone buzzed in my pocket. James, sending me a heart emoji like nothing was wrong. The sight of it made me feel sick. Was he sitting somewhere smiling, pretending everything was perfect, while his secret kiss sat between us like a loaded gun? I thought about calling him right then, demanding the truth, but part of me wanted to see if he would confess on his own. I slid the phone back in my pocket and let the rain soak me until my hair stuck to my face. People passed by under umbrellas, giving me strange looks, but I didn't care. My wedding dress was hanging upstairs in my room, and suddenly it felt like a joke. Back inside, I found Holly still sitting on my bed, red-eyed and shaking. She begged me to believe her that it meant nothing, that she was drunk and James was weak. But her words only dug the knife deeper. I told her I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. The look on her face told me I had just broken something permanent between us. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. My best friend, my fiancé, the two people I trusted most. At 3 a.m., I sat by the window of my childhood bedroom, listening to the rain soften into drizzle. Tomorrow was supposed to be my wedding day, but now it felt like a countdown to betrayal. By morning, I had dark circles under my eyes, and my mom noticed instantly. She asked if I was nervous about the wedding, and I almost blurted it all out. Instead, I forced a smile and said I was fine. The lie felt heavy in my mouth, but how could I ruin her happiness with the truth? I called James and told him we needed to talk before the ceremony. His voice was warm, casual, like nothing was wrong. That casualness made me want to scream. Did he think I would never find out? Or worse, did he think I wouldn't care? We met at a small cafe near the church. He arrived in a crisp shirt, smiling like the perfect groom-to-be. I wanted to believe him, but all I saw was Holly's lips on his. My tea sat untouched while I waited for him to confess. I asked him straight, "Did you kiss Holly at your bachelor party?" His smile froze, then faded. His silence was louder than any words. Finally, he said, "It was a mistake. I was drunk. I'm sorry." My chest caved in. So it was true. I wanted to throw the ring at him right then, but part of me still clung to him, still wanted to believe we could fix it. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice breaking. He said he didn't want to ruin everything we'd built. But wasn't everything already ruined the moment he kissed her? I walked out of the cafe before he could say another word. The cold English air hit me like a slap. My wedding was hours away, and now I had a choice. Walk down the aisle knowing the truth, or walk away from the life I thought I wanted. My heart pounded, but one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I wandered through the narrow English streets, past old brick houses and little shops with flower boxes. People smiled as they passed, carrying umbrellas. But all I felt was numbness. The world was moving forward like nothing had happened, while my life was falling apart. When I finally got back, Holly was waiting outside my house. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and she reached for me, but I stepped back. "You and James both lied to me," I said. Her face crumpled, and she whispered, "I didn't want you to marry him without knowing." That felt like another knife. She was the one who broke me, but now she wanted credit for the truth. My mom came to the door, beaming, holding a bundle of flowers for the wedding. Holly wiped her face quickly, pretending nothing was wrong. I stood frozen, watching the two worlds collide, my mother's joy and the secret that could destroy it all. Inside, I locked myself in the bathroom and stared into the mirror. My wedding dress hung behind me on the back of the door, glowing white and perfect. I touched the fabric and felt sick. How could I wear something so pure when everything underneath was rotten? I thought about running, just packing a bag and disappearing before the ceremony. But the thought of the whispers, the stares, the questions, I felt trapped. This was England, where family and tradition were everything. Walking away would make me the villain, even if I was the one betrayed. Hours later, the house filled with bridesmaids, makeup artists, and laughter. Everyone assumed my silence was nerves. My dad knocked gently on the door, his eyes soft. "You don't have to do this if you don't want to," he said. His words almost broke me. Almost. At the church, the bells rang, echoing across the small English town. Guests filled the pews, smiling, waiting for me. I stood outside in my dress, veil trembling in the wind. My heart thudded like a drum. Inside was James, waiting at the altar. But was I walking toward love or a lie? The organ began to play, and my father took my arm. Guests turned to watch as I stepped into the church, their faces glowing with joy. I felt like an actress walking into a play, trapped in a role I no longer believed in. My eyes locked on James at the altar, smiling, handsome but guilty. Every step down the aisle was a battle. My father whispered, "Breathe," but my chest was tight. Holly sat in the front row, avoiding my eyes. She looked small and broken, her hands gripping her bouquet. The betrayal hung heavy between us. even in this holy place. James took my hands at the altar. His touch felt warm, familiar, and wrong all at once. The vicar began to speak, but his words blurred. I searched James's face for answers, for remorse, for anything real. He smiled, but it felt like a mask. When the vicar asked if anyone objected, I expected silence. But then a voice cut through the church. Holly stood, trembling, her face pale. Gasps filled the room. She looked at me, then at James, and whispered, "I can't let you do this." The room erupted in whispers. My father's hand tightened on my shoulder. James turned red, glaring at Holly, but she didn't back down. My heart pounded so loud I thought it might break the stained glass windows. This was it, the moment when the lie could no longer stay hidden. I looked at James. "Tell them," I said. His jaw clenched, and for a moment I thought he'd lie again. Then, with the eyes of the town on him, he admitted it. "It was a mistake," he said loudly. The words echoed through the church. Gasps turned into stares. My chest ached, but finally the truth was out. The vicar asked if I still wished to continue. My knees shook. I looked at my parents, at the guests, at the flowers, at the life I was supposed to walk into. Then I shook my head. "I can't," I said. My voice cracked, but it was steady enough. Gasps turned into silence. I walked out of the church alone, the bells ringing behind me like a cruel joke. Rain fell softly as I stepped into the gray English street, my dress dragging across the wet stones. I felt broken, but free. James and Holly had betrayed me, but I still had myself, and that was enough to begin again.